Ace Hardware, man. There's no plan here.
Did you ever play bocce ball?
We did.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm half Italian.
Yeah.
And where I grew up, it was mainly Italians and Jews and a spattering of wasps.
Mm-hmm.
Just not too many. And the guy up the street, he was an FBI agent, weirdly enough, at a time when it was easy. And he had 3 ugly daughters, really ugly daughters. It was unfortunate. His wife had a nose the size of a banana. She was,
Well,
but a nice woman.
What could you expect?
Yes, but a nice enough woman, and she was Italian to the core. He wasn't, though. He was German. His name was Grieb. But in any case, she ruled the household and told him he had to build a bocce court. Well, the girls didn't care about the goddamn bocce court, but all us little pathetic lemmings, in the summer when there wasn't that. When, you'd fished as much as you could fish. You'd wandered in the woods. You'd build enough forts that you couldn't even use them all. Then we'd go play bocce. Mm-hmm. And they were always kind. They always let us play bocce. And, gave us the court and, use the balls and have some fun. Yeah, so, yeah.
So you grew up in Connecticut?
Connecticut.
And so what was that like growing up?
It was enchanting.
And,
It was absolutely an enchanting moment.
Post-World War II.
Post-World War II, we're on a cul-de-sac,
Mm-hmm.
all brand new suburban houses, 12 of them, a zillion kids, and this lovely babbling trout stream that just wandered up through this farmer's large farm that was later bought by the town to become a town park. So this enchanted place where I grew up, these lovely, the stream was beautiful, the woods were just enchanting. New England countryside is far superior. It's so lovely compared to the West. There's 1,000 different kinds of moss, there's ground pine, there's all these little bitty things that make these gorgeous, gorgeous forest gardens, these serendipitous forest gardens that are just lovely. And I was just absolutely in love with that place, but my father was working nights at the time, and that was nice because he was a mean and nasty prick. And it was fine, my mother was good to us, and we'd only have to dodge him on weekends. But when he became, started working days, it all went to hell.
Yeah.
Sex was hitting the fan, everybody was, coming of age. And he just hated us. He wanted me dead. He wanted the girls out of the way. I had 2 sisters, older, younger. Wanted them out of the way, but he wanted me dead. He just wanted me dead, and it was a hideous war from then on until I was able to get out of there. But early on, that trout stream and that just gorgeous, couple of miles up, about a mile wide, that forest area that me and the Smitty boys hung out in was just enchanting.
So you ended up in Washington State
Mm-hmm.
at Evergreen College. And
The Evergreen State College.
Yes,
That's what I
all
have
right,
to say.
okay.
TESC.
And you were among the first...
Early.
The early people, and so...
Yeah.
What was that? What
Well,
was that like?
you see, when I grew up, everybody was a homophobe, okay? Everybody was scared, and when I was in high school, they'd say, if somebody didn't like you, they'd say, fuck you, and if they really didn't like, they'd say, fuck you, faggot. So everybody was a fuck you, faggot, fuck you, Bill, fuck you, Ralph, fuck you, but fuck you, faggot was I really don't like.
Yeah.
It was odd because nobody'd tell me what this thing was. I had no idea what gayness was. What was this thing? And I was like scared to death that any moment you could become gay, but you never knew when this might happen. You didn't know how it would happen, who it happened to, what made this come to pass, but you knew if you became gay, you'd be shunned by all.
Ostracized.
Yeah, and you'd have to die.
Yeah.
Some capacity, and it'd have to be miserable.
Yeah.
You'd have to die a miserable death.
Yeah.
So I'm living with this for years, and I understand by that time. I was 29 when I went to Evergreen, but I still, this is so deeply ingrained in you that you're thinking, yeah, I got to get over this. Gays are gays, and that's the way it is. But they still hadn't connected the DNA thing to it. Mm-hmm. By that time, it was only 75. They still hadn't said this is genetic. This is what happens. This is one of the aspects of anomalies in life. And neither bad nor good. It just is. Yeah. So when I went to Evergreen, there was an ocean of gay people because it was considered an alternative college, and the gays just flocked there. So I decided that this is the time I'm going to get done with this problem. I am going to know gay people. I am going to befriend gay people, whether I like it or not, until I understand them and I can be rid of this homophobe bullshit. And I did. I did. One particular instance, which was really interesting because it allowed me a way in. This one gay man that I knew had been in Vietnam, and I'd never been in war. And I didn't want to go to war. And I got lucky because I didn't have to go because I was 4F. But in any case, I wanted to know his real life experience. So we sat and we drank and we talked about Vietnam hour after hour after hour. And he said to me, you're the only one I ever met in my life that I feel understood my experience in Vietnam. Unfortunately, he fell in love with me. I could not reciprocate. He got ugly about it, and that had to end sadly. But that took care of my problem. I was done with it. I had no more trouble with that gay problem.
Oh, so what were you designed your own program at Evergreen. What was that?
Well, you could... And in my mind now, you're talking about 19-year-olds. I was 29, and I knew that I had stumbled into something I really, really liked. I never knew that the Aquarius in me wanted spiritual stuff, wanted mountains, just as much spiritual stuff as you could just lay on me. Not step and fetch it to Jesus. Not those howler monkeys that, it's, you die unless you're a Jesus freak. I wanted the depth of it, and I stumbled into this Memories, Dreams, and Reflections by Carl Jung's autobiography, C.G. Jung.
Wasn't that Neil Young?
Neil might have read a little Jung, but not too much, I think. In any case, when I read that book, I was mad. It was what I needed, what I wanted, what I'd longed for forever. What the fuck? Jung grabbed the story twice as hard as I did because he was also a scholar. He was brilliant. There was nothing else to do in those days but study. There was no TV. There was no radio. There was no nothing. In any case, so when I realized that I loved what Jung was doing, I just gobbled it up. I grabbed all the books I could. But back to your question, you could say, I want to learn X, okay? And then you would have to make an outline of what you wanted to learn in a quarter. And then you would go around to different professors and you would say, will you sponsor me to do this? Will you and then they'd sign off on it or say, you know what, you're getting a little ahead of yourself here, start with this. So then they shake it down and get it right and box it up so you could actually be successful. And that's how that sort of worked. But I didn't care because I just wanted to study Jung.
Yeah. Why did you ever want to be a psychiatrist or psychologist? And why are...
weirdly enough, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that because I never felt qualified to tell other people how the hell they should live, or how to get. There was an expression in those days, just let it go. I had a neurosis. You don't let a neurosis go. A neurosis grips you and owns you. The best you can do is power your way through it. Never know how to explain that.
but
You guys rolling?
We're rolling to
wherever
here.
it goes.
Call it. Slate it.
Well,
Carl.
hang on, I'm taking the chips away from Andy. So we don't get any
Come on,
crunch.
come on, Russell.
420 break.
All right,
All right, Carl. Whenever you're ready.
go.
Hardware stories number 4. This is story number 5.